Greetings, Gourd Pyro friends! Today I'm sharing with you a portion of my online course on beginner gourd pyrography. This particular lesson is on gradation shading, or how to make your shading smooth, going from light to dark. The pen I am using in this video is an Optima medium spear point shader, but you can use any shader that you have for this butterfly lesson. If you're new to gourd pyrography and want to learn more, you may want to check out my 8 Butterflies online video course. In the course, I will show you 8 different burning techniques using a butterfly pattern. I will leave a link in the description box below with a coupon code for the first 50 YouTube friends to use for 10% off. All right, well, let's get started and enjoy this free lesson.
So what I normally do when I start working on this kind of piece, or when I try to do this type of work, is I will start on a fairly low heat, but I will start in one of the darker areas. So I know that I want this area to be dark here, and then I want it to fade and go a little bit lighter. So what I'm going to do is kind of start where I know it's going to be a little bit darker, just to kind of get a feel for this gourd, just to get things started and heated up a little bit. I can always go back into it and darken it up. I do have a little bit of a guideline here that I'm following. I just kind of pencil that in roughly. It's not 100% accurate, but for the purposes of what I'm doing to demonstrate, that's not a big deal to me. So it's accurate enough. So I'm starting where I know I want it a little bit dark, and I already know in my mind, the back of my mind, that this is going to get darker, and I am going to go over it a little bit more. So as I want it to be dark here and fade and get a little bit lighter, I'm just going to continue working in this area and then burning a little bit closer, spending a little less time here and a little more time back here again, because as I'm burning over that area, it's going to get darker. And you'll find, as I'm finding right now, on your gourd, you're going to have areas that are a little bit easier to burn and a little bit harder to burn. If you can see on my gourd, I have some light markings, and those are not burning quite as smooth as the slightly darker areas. So that gets kind of funny when that sort of thing happens, because it's almost like there's a different density. It's not just skin deep, so to speak. And you will find that it's not all going to be the same on your gourd. So you just go slow, and you tackle these little things as you come to it. You find that an area is going to be, if you already saw that there's a dark area that you know is going to burn quickly, then you adjust as you start approaching to it by, if you must, turn the heat down, or using a much lighter touch, or making sure that your pen is moving a little more quickly. It doesn't linger over that spot, because you know it's going to burn quickly. So I'm just going to keep going over that, and as I As I approach the part that I want a little bit darker, I'll just make sure I spend a little bit more time working over those spots. And let's get some more of these lights down in here. I'm okay with getting this a little bit darker right here because this is where the upper wing overlaps, and I like to create a little bit of a shadow there if I can. Okay, so now that I have that part filled in, I'm going to turn my burner up slightly and go back into this part where it's a little bit darker and darken up the very edge even more. And when I say turn the heat up, I'm only on about a 3 on my burner. And I know every burner is a little bit different, but just to give you an idea, I'm not burning on an 8 or a 9, I'm burning on a 3. So I'm just going to use the very tip here and just give a little touch on these veins. Okay, I'm going to turn it down again and try to do a little bit more on this mid-tone right here. And just make sure that that's nice and evenly burned. So I'm going to darken this in just slightly, just so that you can see the edge of that butterfly wing a little bit better. And maybe a little bit on the top. So I'm going to do the same thing on the top part of the wing and just try to get a nice light tone. I'm going to turn it up just a smidgen bit. Hopefully that didn't make it too hot, but it was burning just a little too slow for my liking. Burning slow is one thing, but being at a standstill is a whole other thing. So it's going to burn a little bit across that edge and a little bit on these lines. So I already know this part I want a little bit darker, so I'm turning it up just a little bit. And the same thing, this is going to be a little bit of a dark shape with a little bit of gradation on this edge here. So a little bit of a hard edge on this side where I'm burning a little bit darker, and see how I kind of keep going back into the darker area and then in a sense feathering it out a little bit. A little bit dark up there, a little bit more along these lines. And I'll turn it down just a little bit. And just kind of give that a little bit of a blending. And I'm just adjusting the heat again. And go along these lines. Now I'm just going to darken in this little edge here. And this edge is also very dark on the edge, and then getting lighter as it goes up the wing here. And again, if you remember me saying, where you want it the darkest is where you want to point the very tip of your pen to be. You have to also keep in mind that even if the heel of your pen is not touching the gourd, it's still sending out a little bit of heat there, and you can, so for instance, you wouldn't want to work into it this way. you still might get some marks onto your gourd from the heel of the pen. So always be working into it from an area that's burned, and that's where you want your dark, the pen pointing towards it. I hope that makes sense. So as you see, this area here, this is a good example of I'm working along that line, and you can see where some of the heel of the pen is still giving me a little bit of a burn. Like that, I wasn't really going over. That's more of the heel of the pen doing the work for me. I did kind of darken that a little bit too much because I got carried away with watching the pen do that, but it's all to help you learn. So that is okay. But something else that you can really take note of as you're working on this butterfly is edges. Something that you can think about is where you want a hard edge and where you want a soft edge. And for instance, I want a softer edge where I'm working into right now along this bottom. So as you see, where I want the softer edge, that's where I have the back of the pen pointed towards. Where I want the darker, harder edge is where the pen tip is pointed towards. Okay, I'm just going to turn it down a little bit and soften up this edge because I want this to have a little more gradation here. So just going to kind of really quickly give a real quick scribble over that. Not spend a lot of time in that area, just quickly move the pen. So now I'm just going to do a little bit of work into his body. I think I'm going to make him mostly solid on the top half and then little stripes on the bottom half. So I'm just going to go lightly around the edge here. Both sides. And then let's do some fun little stripes. Do his antenna. And I'm going to wipe off that extra graphite here and see how things look. The graphite on this one was a little darker than my previous butterflies, and I can see some of my lines are not quite as pronounced as I thought they were. So I can go back in there and just sharpen up some of these little areas in here. It doesn't look too bad on this side, but in here it looks like I could go back in there and sharpen that up. But overall, this is what we're looking for, is to get some gradation from working from dark to light and dark to light, and that's what you can practice.
Hey, thanks for watching, and I really hope this video was helpful to you, and I look forward to seeing you again in the future. Take care. Bye-bye.